Sir, we can't hear you.
Nakamute pala ako.
Yan, okay na po.
Ayan. So, how's everyone doing? Mukhang some of our colleagues are still having their lunch. Nag-lunch na ba kayo? Nag-lunch na ba? By the way, I would like to take this opportunity. Do you guys have classes before my class, itong 12 to 3? Naka-mute ka, naka-mute ka, architect. Oh, nawala sa architect. How about you, Miss Mary Ann Margaret? Do you have class before my class, before our class?
Yes po, may class po kami, Doc.
Anong class?
Ayan, sir, nawala.
Ayan, welcome back, ma'am.
8 to 11 po, Doc, yung financial management.
Financial management.
Sino teacher nyo doon?
Si Dr. Alan
Calderon.
Calderon.
Okay. Calderon. Okay. So, financial management lang for Ma'am March and Ma'am Mary Ann. How about Christian and Mariela? Is it the same subject?
Yes po, Doc. Financial management po.
Okay. And then Christian June, same pa rin?
Same din po with...
Yes, same, sir. Same po.
Okay. Now, the reason why I'm asking is to make our subject more interesting. I think the best way is to go out to our classroom. And I'm thinking of two companies actually. One is in Toyota, one in Santa Rosa. Kasi we can visit the production unit. But I was thinking na medyo it will take a while, time, commute, transport. So the next best thing is the Rex Publishing Bookstore, which is behind Santo Domingo. And in the vicinity of Trinity University of Asia, it's really close to our area. But of course, we are still asking permission for the approval of Rex Bookstore. And at the same time, it's also nice to know that I know your teacher, si Dr. Alan Calderon. He was my student before. So I can, maybe we can try to shift our time, assuming that this will be feasible. My original thought would be Rex Bookstore is open every Saturday from 9 to 12 only. Sorry, from 8 to 12. So if we're going to push through our field trip, it will be from 9 to 12. So that means I'll ask Doc Alan if he's willing to shift his time to my time para 8 to 12 tayo and then 12 to 3 financial management. So it won't affect the number of meetings. Hello, Miss Melanie. How are you doing?
Hello, sir. Good afternoon po.
Good afternoon. So you guys had lunch already? Not yet?
Not yet po.
Okay. Actually, alangan itong schedule na ito, no? 12 to 3. Parang hindi tayo.
Kaka-breakfast. Brunch, sir, eh.
Oh, brunch eh. Mukhang, I don't know. Hello, lovely. How are you doing?
Hello, sir. Good
Good
afternoon po.
Good
Okay
Good
na po.
afternoon.
Good. So we'll just wait until 12:10. I think people are still logging in. So, Miss Lovely, are you still taking financial management before this class? And Melanie?
Yes, Doc.
Okay.
Yes,
So,
Doc po.
pare-parehas. Janglin, good morning. How are you doing? So, 3 minutes from now. No, for the latecomers, to Lovely, Melanie, and Jiangli, we're thinking of a possible field trip for us to understand better the production and operation management in the context of Rex Publishing. Now, as you know, Rex Publishing is a Filipino-owned company. They are over 50 years. So they started what? Obviously, publishing books. So they started with law books. And then you will see closely how our topics are being implemented in their company. Like, for instance, what we're going to discuss today, the TQM, how they manage just in time, how they manage their inventory, and then what will be the new normal of production operation management. Because when we talk about the new trends of operation management production, we're looking at the supply chain. We're looking at Industry 4.0, the artificial intelligence, the big data, data analytics. That's the reason why it's important for us to understand this discipline. And it will be much appreciated by students if they get to see how these elements and methods are being implemented in real world. And at the same time, how do they measure quality? Like, for instance, in Rex Bookstore, I remember when he was presenting the quality, he's telling us about controlling the inventory because, papers cost money, ink, labor. So all these things should be put into consideration, and every single aspect of that should be measured. Now, I think we're already almost complete. Good morning, Miss Donna Jane and Miss Arsenio. Are the three reporters here? By the way, Miss Blanco.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, Miss Blanco. Excuse herself. She's in Cebu right now, but she submitted her presentation. So it's a recorded presentation. So it will be presented later. Now, probably we already have the number of students, but not all. So let me just first discuss some of the elements that was given by Dr. Manzano. Okay, so it's been a while. The last time we saw each other was like almost 3 weeks. One was asynchronous, so we had our case study, we had our analysis in terms of entrepreneur, and one materials from EBSCO. And then we completed our discussion in the case study. The case study will be discussed thoroughly probably towards the end of the sem. I would like to make sure that everyone reported or presented. And then once everyone's presented, then we can discuss the case. But it's a very, it's a fun case, right? The one that is being assigned to you. So there will be two more, two exciting cases. Now, let me just show you briefly. Okay. Now, right now, this is our second meeting, at least under my supervision. And for today, what we're going to do is we're going to have a short presentation of students. So this will be the agenda of our today. Now, last week, we had asynchronous, and today we are going to discuss the proposed format for your concept paper. Very, very easy. And I think I showed this to Dr. Manzano last night, and we both agreed that it's very feasible, especially in our time frame. Now, for today, we're hoping to have 3 reporters, total quality management by Sir Archie, and then a recorded discussion or report from Joanna. Her topic is design of goods and services. And then we will end our discussion later by asking Ms. Eileen to discuss the process and capability design. Now, originally, our planned tour, the Rex Bookstore Publishing, scheduled next week. But I haven't coordinated with Dr. Alan and Rex Bookstore. I haven't received a yes confirmation yet. So October 22, we're going to have an asynchronous but a reading assignment, and at the same time, you may start your concept paper. Now, on October 29, wait, by the way, may I ask Miss Lovely and Miss March, October 29 is declared holiday ba?
Sir,
Maybe.
wala pang, hindi ko pa
Hindi
ma-confirm.
pa, no? Kasi
Wala pa po.
I
30
remember
po.
kasi these dates are, some of you will be in skiing resort. Kasi there's this, what do you call this, um, small group orientation for Trinity University of Asia. So the support group, the faculty, the NTP were divided into 5 or 4 groups, 60 each per team. So on October 29, let me just make an announcement if there will be class or not. So if not, we will just adjust accordingly. If there's no announcement, we will continue as planned. So assuming that we are going to have classes on October 29, the following reporters are assigned. So Lovely and Ramadir, they will be discussing site selection, people and work system, layout design by architect of Zoom, and Miss Sarah will end the report for that particular day by discussing inventory for dependent and independent demand. And then November 5, we're going to have the same asynchronous schedule, which was originally scheduled by Dr. Manzano. And by November 12, we have another 3 reporters. Okay, so that's the glimpse of what's going to happen. Now, just to inform everyone, we started August 27, late enrollment is until August 22 to September 4. Midterms is scheduled next week, but this midterm is more on for the undergrad students. In our case, we will not have a midterm examination. We're going to continue our report, presentation, case studies, among others. And then October 28th, to some of you who are thinking to drop the subject, please don't. But just in case, the date will be October 28th, end of dropping period. Anything that is after October 28th and you did drop and you did not report to class, you will get a failing grade. Okay, so please take note on this important timeline. And next year, January 3 to 7, 2023 will be the end of the first semester. And then we are going to encode your grades next year, January 10 to 13. So that gives ample time for you to do your concept paper. Now, just to excite everyone, so we're going to discuss total quality management. So the reporter will give us an insight about how TQM is applied in different firms. So like what I did last time, when you talk about operation strategy, the quality, productivity, the delivery can be applied both in manufacturing and in service industry. So you're able to see very clear how quality was measured, how quality was defined, and how was quality delivered, basing from the definition of your customers. Now, another exciting part for the TQM reporter is that how do firms diagnose problems about quality? So I want to look at your own department or company. When we talk about total quality management, how do your department or you as a boss diagnose problems about quality. Now you know what quality means, right? So, for instance, quality might mean the timely deliverable of products or service. So that's another form of quality. So I want you to keep that in mind. And then, looking at your own firm or department, how is DQM important? Why is it important? In the long term, what does it? How do you benefit from it? And then, what are the different quality awards and accreditation recognized worldwide? What is their importance? Whether you are a manufacturing, whether you are an airline, wherever you are, hotel, or even in education institution, there is always a quality accreditation. In Trinity University of Asia, we have ISO 2015, we have 2017. So later on, depending on the top management, if we are going to get higher TQM accreditation. So total quality is everywhere. Okay. Now, after total quality management discussion, Ms. Joanne will give us some insights about design of goods and services. So how do firms identify or conceptualize product and or service design? Again, I would like you to reflect in your own department, your own unit, your own company. How do your company department conceptualize service design? And number two, how do firms maximize product life of goods and services? Of course, if everyone knows about the product life cycle, start with birth, then growth, maturity, decline, and then there are some strategies that we need to do to avoid decline. Diba? Either we innovate, we try to repackage, among others. Number three, design under the design of goods and services. What are the approaches in product design and services design? So is there a difference between the product and service design? What will be the similarities and the differences? Obviously, product and service are two different entities, but when it comes to design of goods and services, there might be some similarities as well. And number four, what factors are considered in product development and product reliability? Very, very important. And then we are going to end our class later to wrap it up, discuss the process and capability design. So the reporter will focus on the following aspects. How are the process strategies applied by firms? Is it, will it be centralized, decentralized, from top-down management, bottom-up? Let's hear from our reporter. When does a firm require process engineering, and how is this applied? How are services strategies applied? And how do firms address capacity and demand issues? Very important to sa food industry. The capacity to build, capacity to produce goods. And then how do firms undertake break-even analysis? So this is more on financial ratio. It's important to know that we know exactly what is the break-even analysis. So si Miss Lovely knows this very well as a finance person. Diba? You will exactly know how many number of students in the classroom to break even. But when we do process and capability design, it also includes this important aspect. Now, as a reminder, there are three critical course requirements. So we already had some case analysis and insight paper. The insight paper are the first two that we did last meeting. I think there will be 2 or 3 more insight papers and another 1 or 2 case analysis. The presentation indicates your report assigned to you. So that's another 30%. And today, I'm going to present the format of how the final paper looks like. Okay? So that's the plan for today. So let me just do a quick sharing. Okay? This is a very, very easy to follow. Wait, one moment, I'll just open my file. Okay, so I think everyone's here already. Okay, the final concept paper, which was announced by Dr. Manzano prior to my prior to taking over this class. So this is actually a journal from San Beda University, and this is actually the articles that you can see here are already published and peer reviewed. Now it's exciting to know that at least in the business context, you can actually do a desktop research. So that means there's no proponents, there's no respondents. It's basically more on you choose a topic, you get related literature that will build the case of what you want to discuss, and you present it. Now, when you do a research, the most important part is getting your related, the RRL, related review, okay, topics. Now, in San Beda, they are required, all, from the faculty to the students, to at least have a publication before they graduate. And my aim here is that every single one of you, we can do this at least in my subject. And it's very, very easy, okay? So later, after our class, I will give you a copy of this one. I asked permission from Sambeda. They agreed. It's okay with them. In fact, the purpose of research is to share. Purpose of research is to share good information and to benchmark. Okay? So let me just enlarge. The article that I want to focus is the first article written by Dean Roque. He's the Dean of the Graduate School of San Beda University. And this is actually an article, and I think everyone can probably relate. So he started off with a business topic. So obviously what we're discussing here, TQM, the, 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 the topics that were assigned to you are all business related. So knowing Dean Roque, he's very, very fond of Industry 5.0. That's where he's very, very excited. He wants to know more about Internet of Things, big data, data analytics, artificial intelligence, and how will this IO 5.0 will affect the business environment. So look at the title, Internet of Things, Reshaping Businesses, Jobs, and Employees. So straightforward, very short. If you read the title, you know exactly it's all about the Internet of Things and how it reshapes the business, jobs, and employees. So let me just scroll down. Okay. I hope we will have a journal soon, MBA, so we can publish your paper. Okay. So let us first look at the format. So the format is, the abstract basically is like a trailer in a movie. The abstract is in a very concise narrative manner. It will tell you what your article is all about without reading the whole article. Okay? So if you look at this abstract, it might contain 200 to 300 words only. And if we try to read the abstract, and I hope let us read. I'll just read it so we can follow, so you have an idea. So the Internet of Things, IoT, has become one of the most familiar systems that has greatly affected homes and businesses. So that's his case. starting from the general statement. So from the first line, you know exactly this article is specifically Internet of Things and how it will affect homes and businesses. In one sentence, you know right away. Then let's go to the second sentence. The IoT has been and will further have great impact on the economy with the transformation of several enterprises into digital businesses and creating new businesses models, improving efficiency, and increasing employee and customer engagement. End of sentence. So the second sentence entices the reader. What is the impact of IoT in terms of businesses, in terms of the employee customer engagement, how it improves efficiency? So, second sentence, it supports the importance of the IoT, the impacts. Okay, let's go to third. But businesses have yet to realize the full benefits of IoT or Internet of Things, as many are unfamiliar with the technology and need to put up plans into the upskilling. Sorry, that's upskilling, mali yung spelling, dapat up and then skilling, hindi yung upskilling. And the skilling of employee and reshaping jobs to cope with the growing technology. So the third sentence is the gap. Why is your article important? Because in the third sentence, so according to Dean Roque, is that not all businesses realize the capacity, the full capacity, the full impact of IoT. So there's a need of upskilling and reskilling of employees. And then he continues the next paragraph, next sentence. Some companies have jumpstart the use of IoT, while some are enduring the pains of catching up, taking steps to understand the technology, change technology, infrastructure that needs big investment, learn new skills, and face issues on data privacy. So he ends up his sentence by informing that his article will try to address the birth pains of IoT, not the whole thing, just a general aspect. Okay? By the way, abstract is done at the end of your paper. Okay? Because you cannot see the whole article, the whole article or the whole thing without completing first your full article. Okay, so this is the last part. Now, there's a comment. This article provides the reader's quick view of IoT to provide a foundation from which to start business, technological, and leadership changes. Wide array of available reading materials such as ebooks, technology, articles, and blogs online, which form part of the IoT. Each data have been researched and reviewed. So in this case, Dean Roque utilize EBSCO, utilize ebooks, technology articles, blogs, online, everything that he can get. Okay, so this is how we started. The first part of the concept paper is introduction. Introduction basically talks about the generic approach. You paint the big picture. What is IoT? So no one knows what IoT means. Do not assume that everyone knows what IoT means. So in your case, if you're writing TQM, if you're writing just in time, give in your article the description so people will know. Remember, not all readers are business background, so they might be confused. So here's an introduction. You paint the big picture. So what is IoT? So the Dean Roque started. What is it all about? So he tried to obviously he used some of the sources and then he rephrased. And then citing a reference is also important. Okay, so I just give the general output for that. And then he started a quick definition. What is IoT? What will be some of the advantages? Why is it important? Why is it that we have to pay attention to IoT? So you're building the excitement. It's like a storytelling, okay? And then um, how businesses will run with this new IoT, from what would be the difference in terms of business model, processes. That's how it's being painted. Okay, and then in the introduction, he tried to come up with some topics. So maybe he realized during the data gathering or related literature, he can categorize it in several parts in terms of how the readers can identify or relate an IoT. So we started with smart living. So in a smart living, it just gave a quick history. So IoT is basically is not new. It's already there since 1970. But we just want to pinpoint that it's not a new technology, it's already been there, but it's always been developing fast pace. Okay? So we identified during the 70s, and then what is the impact of IoT in terms of smart living, so everyone can relate. Okay, this is how IoT works. This is how IoT is being. Wait, let me one moment. Yes, brother dudes. Oh, andito, we're taking our classes right now. Wait, can someone give the link? Can someone give us the link? I think the Chinese classmates, they don't know our link right now. Can someone reach out? Anyway, brother dudes, hello dudes. Hello dudes. Forward ko sa iyo yung link. May, saan ka ba? Sige, forward ko sa iyo sa ano. Okay, wala. Sorry about that. Hinahanap pala tayo ng Chinese classmates. By the way, meron ba kayong contact sa Chinese natin? Delegates? Saka meron ba kayong things hindi ko muna kay Brother Bruce.
Sir, si Anlin lang yung ating Chinese rito eh.
No. We have actually three more. The last time we had three more. So yeah, I think Doc Bruce is able to. One moment, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the beauty of recording the session. You don't need to repeat it anymore. Okay. Now, where are we? So, in terms of introduction, you can actually do this. You can have a subcategory that will support your construction in terms of sentence or research construction. Okay. So, smart living, and then very short lang because the concept paper should not be more than 12 or 13 pages. That's it. Very, very short, straight to the point. And then he decided to include the global status of IoT. So he started with a very specific approach, and then he tried to categorize it in such a way that it is a macro level. So what is the global status of IoT? So here, more pertinent history. Hello, Haji-san. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Don't worry about your session. This is recorded. After the end of our session, you can watch what we discussed earlier, and you can always use this as documentation purposes. Okay? So let us just, we're now discussing how the concept paper is being written. Okay? So later on, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me. Okay, the global status. Now, again, you have the liberty if you want. It depends on your writing skills and writing style. Some of you would like to go straightforward. Some of you would like to have like a storytelling approach. But the important thing here is you are giving new information. You are trying to establish a research specifically on the subject that you're interested in, at knowing what is the gap. Gap is reading your related literature, but it's not yet been addressed. Okay, so that's the beauty of research. There's always a gap. So the second part, the global status of IoT, and if you scroll down and if you try to read, it talks about the impact of IoT in the global setup. So there are several companies. Remember, he is looking at IoT companies, etc. So he cited some companies that who benefited IoT. So he mentioned about Ericsson. Look at what they did. Expected to reach 4.1 billion by 2024. So just reading this article or this statement, you know that some of the information came from an article or coming from the expert opinion that is published. Okay, so this is now what holds in the future, global aspect. So yeah, 2024, it says that expected to grow 5 times because of IoT. And then future trends. So it seems that IoT is the way to be more efficient, more effective as a company by the use of IoT. And of course, you can also put specific examples or application of IoT. Again, depends on your writing skills or writing styles. Yeah, in a special report, again, it's giving a forecast, a projection of what IoT is gonna be like. So, high capital equipment can benefit greatly in IoT solution, data driven, anything that is related to IoT. And then we now focus on the jobs because it's important that this is being addressed or was part of the title, so you have to include it in your writing. But if it's not included in your title, then do not include. So that's the reason why there will be some time that we need to review your paper for your improvements. Okay, so in this case, we decided to include jobs. So in this part, the impact of IoT in terms of the jobs. Why is it important that someone like us, someone like candidates of MBA knows the direction of IoT or even use this platform, okay? And how business leaders and employees can benefit the IoT. So here you can probably cite some examples of before and after and what's going to happen. Okay? And then here you would see that there are some emerging jobs based from the articles he read. So he cited there's a different specific emerging jobs because of IoT. So there's business support consultant, solar power consultant. So Ma'am Marge, is this something that you will be interested in? Solar power consultant, no?
Yes,
Imagine if
I'm understudy na po, sir.
yes, di ba? Imagine if a company is solarly dependent purely, you can save energy, money, uses cleaner energy as well, di ba? So again, this article is just more on general approach because there's no way for you to discuss the whole IoT. That's the reason why we encourage MBA students, doctorate students to be more focused and then go deeper in terms of research. So this is how it's done, and a very good example. And look at the jobs, related to jobs. By 2025, 75 billion IoT devices are expected to be connected in 5 jobs. So again, this is more on research. Dean Rocket is not really, he doesn't know this in terms of stock knowledge. It's more on desktop research. So go deeper in terms of research, and then you can come up with thematic approach. So he decided to include this because it is related to the topic emerging jobs. So let's go back to the basic. It's like writing in college. You know the general topic and then the supporting topics. The supporting topics will be coming from the related literature that you read from your research. And then look at, since we're talking about jobs, you was able to find skills. What would be the business century skills that needs to complement the IoT? So here's some of the things. Core technical skills are demanded in most of the organization. Skills also in demand are people management, development tools. Look at this, social media. If you don't know anything about social media, it's about time for us to know social media. Social media is simply your identification in the digital world. If you don't have any, like for instance, if you're in business and if you are not into social media, you're practically dead in terms of your business. Right? So very important. And as a business candidates, you would like to see what's happening for the next 5 to 10 years. So this is what's saying. Leadership style will definitely change. Right? Graphic design, data science, web development, among others. And then he mentioned about leaders. So how is the IoT tools beneficial to leaders like you guys? So in this topic or part, he was able to look at the article that will give leadership or IoT as a tool, as a leadership. So he cited several items: improve decisions making, using IoT, improve decision making, and then he just gave a very short, concise, direct to the point, statement. Understand customer how, IoT, specific. No need to do paragraph. Go and be more specific. Again, this takes research. Okay, how to deliver new customers with proposition. When we talk about proposition here, it's all more about value proposition. How do you provide or create competitive advantage? Right? Whenever any company, that's the challenge. How would you create competitive advantage, and why is it important? Because we don't want to end up me too company. Right? So we are here because our competitors cannot duplicate or copy us. We're the only ones who's best doing this. Right? Improve, optimize, increase income. And then next, definitely as a researcher, you can balance your discussion by giving the challenges in leadership. So here he included that points. So modern technology are useless if not used properly and without human interconnection. So in caveat of IoT, if you're too dependent on IoT, then there's also a downside. Okay, so here he emphasized that there should be a human interconnection, synergy of machines and humans working together. And you, as an MBA candidates, should understand how will that be balanced. Okay. And yeah, he even quoted one of the management gurus, Steve Jobs, to prove his point. In this case, technology is nothing. Look, he started with challenges. There should be a proper interconnection between machines and human. There should be a human connection, synergize, and to emphasize his point, he was able to find a quote from Steve Jobs in which two, three sentences sum it up. It says, according to Steve Jobs, technology is nothing. What's important is that you have faith in people, that they are basically good and smart. And you have give them tools, there'll be wonderful things with them. Again, I think our competitive advantage is our people. Okay, so try to look at how to empower them, how to encourage them, how to establish them as a better version of themselves. So again, here, these are the competencies that the leader should possess in an IoT environment. So again, this is not stock knowledge. This is what he learned from previous related literature and sharing it to us. Para when we read this article, our learning curve is shorter now. Then from this article, you now can get related topics that you want to expand. So here, competency, encourage teamwork. It's not new. It's always been there. But he emphasized that it's very, very important for leadership, for leaders. So every single one of you, you may be a supervisory level, management, middle management, or intro, or even a senior or top management. Teamwork, encourage people, and then some of the competencies and characteristics. And look, he end up. What is the conclusion? Conclusion is what is your take on this article? What is your call to action? Okay. So here, in less than 10 sentences, he end up his article in terms of Internet of Things has many challenges or blockages. It has its ethical issues in terms of data privacy. So he's telling that it's not a perfect platform. It has its flaws. And it also is actually a beneficial platform to the business environment. And then in terms of labor sector, there is obviously people are very insecure. People, especially in my industry, hospitality, most of the students are scared. They're asking, sir, what if the robots will replace us? Like for instance, if you go to McDonald's or Jollibee right now, there's robots that will be serving cheeseburger. Have you seen that? Have you seen that lately? And the students are very terrified. And I told them, you know what? You studied 4 years in college not to serve cheeseburger or cheesecake. The purpose of having this robotics, this IoT, is to make things easier for you. So you, as a human being, as a leader, can come up with strategies and ideas on how to come up with better way of serving your customer. Using these items, they're not here to replace you. They will make things easier for you. Make complement, synergize. Like for instance, an app for a hotel, it makes easier for hotel operations because if you have the app, real time, your customers exactly know what rooms are available. Unlike before, they have to go to a customer service. They have to make some calls. And we are very, very familiar. Sometimes we get frustrated because no one is answering the phone. But with the apps, it makes things easier. So what's towards the end of the day, more sales, more effective way of doing business, but it did not replace people. In fact, it empowered people. Okay, so and look at this last statement. Leaders play important role in creating a strong, skilled team fully realize the benefits of IoT. and view the challenges of growth and further development of IoT as tools to higher revenue opportunities and competent employees. He did not say, or this article did not say to replace employment, to replace people, but to make our employees better. Alongside with the robust development of technology is the reshaping and upskilling the skills of people to face head on the challenges that IoT brings. And let me show you the references. References, you will see there are website, and we welcome that because website is also a published information. It can be a form of article like this one, and this can be a journal, so research, and take a look at the years as well. There are years that is within the 5 years. There are some of them older than 5 years, but as long as it complements your concept paper, you can also include. So you would see website, you would see journal of business, Forbes, yeah, Forbes, very, very handy in terms of information. Forbes.com, always updated. They normally forecast what's happening. So you want to also read this one. In our case, in our MBA, EBSCO is another way of doing business or looking at information. By the way, just out of curiosity, are you guys familiar using EBSCO? Anyone? Anyone here who knows how to use EBSCO? Anyone? Okay, just raise hand if you are not familiar in terms of using EBSCO. Raise your hand if you're not familiar. Okay, sige. I will give you 5 minutes to show you how it's done. Okay? But let us finish this first. So, local, there's even blog. Okay? Look at the title. Succeeding in an IoT World 2007, Essential Leader. So, these are some of the items. Okay? So, here, just having an eyeball, probably Dean Roque used at least 10 to 15 different references. And I think if you have the same number of references as well, you can come up with a very good concept paper. Again, we are not expecting a high level, but we will try to be the best version of your paper. So that's the reason why Doc Toots and myself, we allot some time during our asynchronous to take a look at your paper. Maybe we can start off with the title that you want, and then we can put some directions. And then you can start reading. At the end of the day, it's your expertise because you're the one who made the research. Kami ni Doc Dudes, we're just more on format, we're more on suggestion, but the direction of your paper is by the author. And later on, we can be co-authors. The main objective of co-authors is to publish your paper like what did Roque did. Okay, so once you publish, that's a very good indicator at your end because at the end of your program, your MBA, you are going to publish your dissertation or your thesis. Okay, so I promise to teach you how to do EBSCO. So every single one of you, you already have two email, right? So there are two ways in terms of logging in terms of your EBSCO. Okay, let me just take this out first. Okay. Number one is EBSCO. Okay. I normally save this, our librarian gave me the password. So in this case, by the way, you have your own password and user ID. Okay. So in my case, it's to admin. And this is free. You can ask Dr. If you don't have the user ID or password, please write to Dr. Manzano. He will be the one to coordinate in your behalf But every single one of you, you have the access of EBSCO. So this is how it looks like. Okay, let me just click this one so everyone knows where it can be uh, found. Okay, so that's the first one, so group chat here. Now, once you have the proper user ID and the password, you click sign in, and then it's best if you try to save. So if ever you want to proceed, you don't need to encode both the password and the username. Now, you are being asked which among the resource will you be choosing. Always choose the database for college and postgraduate programs because this is where the information that we need. Okay? So this is like Google Scholar, Google Bar. If you go to Google, this is the equivalent of Google Bar. It's a search bar. Now we can start with basic topics or titles or statement or sentence. So for instance, let's say what's a good or probably let's use total quality management. Okay, so you are trying to focus what would be my concept paper. So the first thing that you need to do is to read and choose a topic that is close to your heart or close to you or something that is very familiar to you. Or you can do the other spectrum, something that you are not aware, there's something that you are not yet familiar, but because of this concept paper, you want to familiarize that concept or that platform. So let's say, for instance, total quality management, since that's our report later. So in this Google bar, you get to see several total quality management. You can there's a suggestion if you would like to focus on business excellence, healthcare, collaborative advocacy, or total quality management practices, implementation. Maybe you are a teacher, you want to focus on total quality management in education. So tons of possible topic. Okay. So in my case, I would like to focus on TQM and leadership because for me that is something that I would like to be familiar. Okay. So once you write or have that, the 408 is the total number of searches that is related in your topic or what you just typed. Now, on your left corner, these are your parameters. These are areas that you can supervise or you can customize. There are different kind of sources, like what I mentioned, like Dean Roque. He used several sources. He used academic journals. He used reports. He used magazines. He used ebooks and other pertinent source of types. So there are categorized. So if you are looking at magazine, there are 7 out of 408 that is related to this topic. If you are looking at ebooks, there are 6. Reports, 39. Academic journals, 362. So maybe as a researcher, I would like to focus first on academic journal. So I'll just make a check mark on this one. And then EBSCO will automatically filter those papers. So everything that I see here are academic journal. The beauty of EBSCO is that it's free. You can always download a full PDF. So if you see icons like this one, PDF full text, you can actually download that article. Okay, so let me just play around. I will just pretend that I am a researcher. I would like to go and search for TQM in leadership. And I'm scrolling down. Let me just see what will be the best thing. So even if it's a different title, but this is something that you're interested, I want to know what will be the critical leadership traits that can complement TQM or how to implement TQM. So I can use this and read. And once you click the PDF, it gives you several items. Number one, it gives you the copy of the paper. Okay, so this is a 14-page paper. Let me just make it. And the first thing that you need to do when you do research is, again, watch the trailer or read the abstract. So reading the abstract, you would just eyeballing, you will know that this paper is more on leadership, focusing in senior management and in terms of TQM, and it is based on healthcare industry. So without reading the whole paper, you get to see the glimpse of what the paper is all about. So again, it's all about the leadership in senior management. They are using TQM as a successful implementation, and there's a particular evidence that the particular traits of leadership required for successful leading TQM. So this is something that it might be handy in terms of my ongoing research. So if I find this very, very interesting and I don't have time yet to read all the rest of the paper, I can simply download the file. So you save it according to where you want, what folder you would prefer, and you just type the title here, and then save it to your particular folder or folder assigned. So in this case, it was not recognized because there are some probably characters that is not, oh, it's not valid. So maybe we can shorten it. So implementing PQM healthcare and then leadership. So it's already saved. Now, another way of doing research, since you already opened an article and you want to read, if you want to read it again, I don't know if you were able to teach research, but one of the easy way to do is I call research capsule. So what does that mean? The research capsule is actually you're creating a database for future references. So all you have to do is come up with a very short table, probably 5 to 7. Again, as a researcher, it depends on your style. So obviously, I'm going to start off with the title, the author, and the year. And then here, I would like to put up the keywords, and then what will be the research objectives, what is the methodology, but this is not really important in your case because you are doing an article. But this is also handy in the future because when you do your thesis, dissertation, the related literature will be the first thing and the critical part of your paper. And then you can say here what is the findings and recommendation or conclusion. Recommendation. Again, it's better to work smart because with the time limit that you have, I think this approach can be handy. Now, there is no particular format. This is just based on my, I think what's important right now. And having this one, now I can now just simply place the particular here. So I'll just shorten this up. Okay. Sorry for the view. Let me just enlarge it so you can see. Okay. Okay, so first column, you put the name, the title. What's important is this one, the dates, because once you read a lot of paper, or you might be confused. So this particular approach will give you an advantage, or at least you have a systematized, a system way of doing your paper. So all the pertinent information, you put it here. I'll just adjust the, I'll adjust the, to make it here. Now the keywords, very important. Why? Because if you look at TQM, leadership traits, these are also the keywords or words that you can use for your um, search engine when you go to EBSCO. So earlier, what I typed was leadership, TQM, but there are some keywords that can be, it can complement, and it can also expand my paper. So I put it here. And then research objectives, this is where you now get to read your paper. Okay, so in this case, maybe if you can find it in your abstract, some of the papers can suggest what the purpose of the paper is. So you can take a look at the abstract. Some of the papers, you have to read it from somewhere in this part. Okay, so let us see if there's a purpose, or what is the research objective. However, this is part based. Okay, in this case, based on a survey, commonly selected. Okay, uh, most likely this paper is about the essential leadership traits for the effective implementation of PQM. So this is the, probably reading the abstract, this might be the objectives of the research. They want to identify the essential leadership traits. The methodology is, what is the design? Qualitative, quantitative. But since we know that's a survey, this is a question quantitative in nature. Okay? So without reading it, it's quantitative. And it's a survey. As early as now, it's nice to know and to have this discipline, so you would be comfortable when you do your dissertation part, which is few semesters from now. Now, randomly, the paper deletes the essential leader. So maybe to put more information about the findings, you can read it towards the end. So basically, the bulk of your concept paper is reading articles, reading journal. So having this, see, leadership skills, you can actually use this in your concept paper. That's the reason why very critical to save these articles. See, even the style of leadership. Now you can have an idea in your paper. You can include style of leadership, and then you can include this one, and then have this also. But you can do, you can paraphrase it in such a way that, but it's important to quote as well, because this is something that is, you need to cite your references. And then in this paper, they actually define what kind of leadership as an overview. So very helpful, isn't it? Diba? And then they will focus on how important the traits of the leader. Then we can complement other reading references. So now, just this journal alone, you have a good, probably an outline. But the more articles, the more journal that you read, the better perspective, the better you can conceptualize your paper. So yeah. So again, so it's a very, this is actually a very good journal. But again, it's focused more on the health. But in terms of leadership traits and TQM, everything is discussed here. Now, conclusion here, this is where you get what is the conclusion of the paper, and then you just simply put it here. Now, what is the purpose of this one? I call this research paper or research capsule. The research capsule kasi is uh, as you read more articles, you might forget what the article or what is the highlight of the article. So again, as a reader, you might want to include another column. Like for instance, you want to include, just in case, in this paper, you can include the different parts of the paper. So what do I mean? Introduction is given here. So you will know probably a proposed outline. So you can say here parts or components. Article. Okay, so first thing we put it here, and then anything that will help you, and then leadership skills and overview. Okay, we put it here. It's like your mental note or notes. So when you get to plan your paper, there might be some suggestion in terms of how would you like to break it down your paper. Right? And then style of leadership overview. Can you follow, guys? It's easier this way, right? It's demonstrated just like the font is not. You have to adjust it accordingly. So this is just. And then maybe if you want, so you can have a. If you want to remember, you can also include this. So again, this is again a way of working smart because if you read more than 10, 15 papers, you have an idea. You have a database of what was read from previous articles. I don't know. Do you see this approach easier? Again, it depends on your writing style. But for me, this is something that I've been using this whenever I research. Very, very straight to the point and gives me an overview and then leadership things, TQM. Okay. I think it's good to spend time here because for your concept paper, again, I'm expecting that some of you might have some questions, and I always welcome those questions. And then here, every single journal has its different headings, so you can actually here in an eyeball, you get to you can now relate or come up with suggested items in your article. And then what's the next? Controlling. See, I think it's a very good implement. Now, this is where the paper gets more specific. It's health. So if you are not using health as your related literature, you can actually you can just not include this one because the paper focus is the paper's focus is more on this one. And then it's up to you if you want to include this. But controlling, yeah. So in one paper, assuming that I read everything, if the time will come that I have more than 5 papers, now I have an idea. So if I want to recall that somewhere down the road I read there's a leadership skills or style of leadership, then you know exactly what part or which paper was that contained. So it's, again, this research capsule might vary from you guys. Some of you wants to be more detailed. Some of you overview. Me, I'm more on the mix. I would like to have everything at my in one look. You get to see all the articles. It's important. Now, I haven't written any of this portion because obviously we didn't have time reading it, but you have an idea how it looks like once it's ready. So that's how I can give some suggestion. Now the EBSCO, very easy. So that's just one paper, and there's a lot of things that you can get, and you can go back. Okay. Now once you already have this paper, now there can be some directions on how you would like to search your paper or how you would like to outline your paper. See, so here. So again, read. So leadership strategies. The first paper was about implementing PQM. Now, this is another related for me. Leadership strategies, right? It can be related. So I want to see and read that article. So again, look at the abstract. Look at the trailer. This paper suggests 2 successful leadership strategies for gaining business excellence through PQM. And then the specific is the finished case examples imply that inimitable competitive advantage can be gained through PQM. So let's say, for the sake of argument, this is something that I want to explore. Again, if you see the PDF full, you can download. Download it. I suggest assign a folder for your concept paper. So it can be located in one very clear and precise path. Okay? So again, if I find this very relevant, then all I have to do is just put leadership. I just entitled it leadership strategies para shorter lang. But again, I can do the same procedure. I can simply copy this one and then abstract. It is important for managers to understand the leadership strategies. So these are the things that you can come up as potential recommendation. And then you can use other articles to support your item. Yan. Capitalize to strength strategies generate. Again, introduction. As you read more published papers, better for you because you get to be more familiar, you get more comfortable reading this published paper. Okay? Again, see, ideological perspective on total quality. Now I can put it here. Put the title here, put the date. What is the date? 2000. So it's a little bit old. That's 22 years. But let's see. It can suggest some information. Right? So just scroll down. Concept of ideology, total quality as a managerial ideology. So might be something interesting embedding. So that's it. So I'm open for Q&A. Any questions? So do you find it very practical? So not to overwhelm everyone, the first thing that I want you to do is read the article of Dean Rocken. Read it. Okay? Kasi like what we did earlier, it's just scan. Once you read the article, you have now a good idea what a format looks like. Second, when you choose a topic, my personal suggestion is choose a topic that is something that you understand, something that you're familiar with, something that's close to your heart, or you can do in a different spectrum, something that you are not familiar, and this is the time you want to learn. Okay. Number three, utilize our EBSCO. To those who don't know your password, your username, please email Dr. Manzano. I think you have a different ID and password. So as early as now, before we end our 12 to 3 class, please send an email. Maybe Miss Lovely can represent you or individually. Or I think it's better that one of you coordinate to Sir Toots so he can just give in one email your your email address and your password. Now, the next thing is be familiar with EBSCO because EBSCO will be your best friend during your MBA. Okay, it's a good thing that as early as now you are familiar, and EBSCO is just one of many, many references. You can go to Google Scholar, like what I'm doing right now. Now, the only caveat in Google Scholar is that not all articles are downloadable. That means that's the beauty of EBSCO. You can get the whole paper, you get to read all the paper, but let's look at Google Scholar. This is also a very good references, but if you find a good, make sure that you can download the journal. Now, if you cannot be download in Google Scholar, try to check it with our EBSCO if it's available. Example, again, total quality management and leadership. Okay, that's my primary item. So I want to have, or maybe I want to filter my research since 2018. So here you get to see different articles. Some of them are articles, some of them are books, ebooks, and it's the same with EBSCO. It's academic journal. They also have ebooks as well. They have article. So here, just an example. Let's go back. Where can you find it? Here on the left side. Left side. Here. Left side. See? Ebooks. Let's see. Example, ebooks. And let's just get rid of the academic journal. These are the three books that is related to total quality and leadership. And just an eyeball, 2009, 2007, and 2004. Well, you can always use some of these articles as well. Again, here, reports, magazine. Let's say you want forecast or more on a future trending event. Maybe you can find it in a magazine or a report. Here, magazine. So if it's not related, this is where your key notes or keywords behind me. Okay, DUM, leadership, and leadership. Yeah, I do not recommend this if you don't understand Russian. Just kidding. But sometimes they can convert it into English. Okay. Now, you're also free to use Google Scholar. So again, just make sure that I look at this. This is PDF format. Uh, let's see if it's downloadable. So let's say, for instance, you want to take a look at this one, 2017 PDF. Proceeding. Okay. So it's a good thing. Let's see. Oh, for this particular article, it can be, and it is available. So that's good for you guys. So you can save this as well. Assuming that this will relate to your or complement your research. Okay? Oh, this is also good. This is also good paper. Organization performance. See, you can now add. Anyway, I don't want to confuse everyone. Let's just stick with the basic. So, any questions before we give the floor to our reporters on how to do your concept paper? Any questions?
Sir,
Yes.
you will be sending us a format, right? A guide for
Yes.
the concept pyramid.
I
All
will
right.
definitely upload the graduate school of San Beda. Just read the first article. The rest of the articles are already more on dissertation format, so that's not applicable to you guys. So yes, and then would you like me to also include the research capsule that I made, like this one?
Yes, sir. That
Okay,
will be
again,
helpful.
this research capsule you can modify it according to your preference. Um, the only reason I put this one is to having this kind of format gives you uh, a suggested way of doing your concept paper, right? And then all you have to do is just improve it. But everything is already here. I did not put recommendation, and then because I haven't read the article yet, but you know what's the you know how some pictures gonna be like. And then um, probably during your asynchronous, we will give 1 hour and a half individual, or maybe we can have a separate meeting. I will give time for consultation, so we can together we can write the concept paper in a direction that is easier for you. Okay. So any questions aside from Arsenio? Anyone?
Sir,
So
yes, sir.
yes,
With your
yes.
yes po. With regards to the article of Dean Rock, okay, are you going to send it to us, sir?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
okay, okay.
I will
Thank
send it.
you.
I will,
Thank you po.
and that's actually the first thing that you need to do. Read the article of Dean Roque. Once you read his article, you have now, it's like winning 50% of the battle because you already know how it looks like, your concept paper. So I wanted to be excited because this is the concept paper that can be published. Maybe we can be co-author. I can make some suggestions. So we can have your published paper. Diba? That's a good one. So yes, Ma'am March, I'll definitely include the Sanbeda Journal. Any questions? I don't want to overwhelm everyone. I think that's the first 3 steps that you need to do. Read the articles de Roque, be familiar, reflect on the title that you want to make or you want to write. And number 3, be familiar in terms of using EBSCO. And create your research capsule, or you can use my research capsule, but you can always modify it according to your preference because each and every one of us has different style in writing, different style in doing research. But again, it's something good to start with a structure uh, as a guide. And then later on, the beauty of learning is you use the structure and adapt it and use it according to your advantage and preference. Okay? So, yeah, uh, I will include this upload file. Anyone else? You can always watch this video in terms of how to open an EBSCO, but I think Mamla Siste or the librarian can give you a tutorial on how to do EBSCO. By the way, guys, you can also ask the assistance of our librarian. In MBA, there's a assigned librarian. Just know who the person is. And then if you have the title, you can ask her assistance. You can ask her, can you provide me reference that is related to my topic? Then they will find articles, journals for you. You just guide them. You tell them, I would prefer journals, I would prefer articles, Forbes, Business Week, Business paper. Then they will do it for you. Okay, so that's another tip of how we can do it. Okay, so mabibisi librarian. Okay. If there's no any question, let's just have a 2 minute stretch and then is the first reporter here?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay, so let us give the floor to Mr. Arsenio, but would you like to have a 3 minute quick stretch and grab the coffee before while Mr. Arsenio will prepare his report? Is that okay with everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so let's have a 3 minute break muna. So, sir, please ready na lang your report, and then let us just have a 3 minute value break, so that after that this value break, we can actually start the paper. Okay? So, thank
Copy
you.
that, sir.
Okay, everyone. So I think everyone is all comfortable. So let us give the cloud to our presenter, Mr. Asinio Basilio. So the protocol will be we'll give the floor to him, and then if you have any questions, it will be towards the end of his presentation. And then we'll give another floor to our next reporter, and then until the third reporter will end the paper or his topic. Okay, so Mr. Arsenio, you have the floor, and
Thank you very much, sir. Let me just share my screen. Just give me a second. So is this visible for everyone?
Yes, sir. We
Yes.
can see. Thank you, sir.
All right. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to discuss today total quality management. A little bit of a disclaimer. Total quality management is a very, very big, broad topic. But as much as I can, I will try to squeeze this in, and make it as basic as possible. Now, probably before I proceed, I want you to ask yourself first if you are a part of or been part of a total quality management practice or process or activity. Most of you, I'm sure, would say, no, I have no idea what this is. But let's see afterwards, after the presentation, if you would have the same answer. So our learning objectives for today is, of course, explain the meaning of TQM or total quality management, identify the cost of quality, describe the evolution of TQM briefly, of course, identify quality leaders and their contributions, and also identify features of the TQM philosophy, describe tools for identifying and solving quality problems, describe quality awards and quality certifications, and definition of quality is dependent also on the people defining it. So moving towards the body of the topic, let's define quality. So definition of quality is dependent on the people defining it, and there is no single universal definition of quality. There are five common definitions that I will discuss later. Pero in, to get the gist of it, quality is a human perspective. It depends on how you look at it, or how your customer looks at it, your client looks at it, or how your employees look at it, or even how people who's not involved in your business looks at it. So the general definition of quality, or ways to look at it, is number one, conformance to specifications, meaning does product or your service meet the targets and tolerances defined by the designers. For fitness of for use, or I mean to say evaluates performance for intended use. Value for price paid. So ito medyo for customer or client side. Evaluation of usefulness versus what they paid or the price they paid. Number four, the support services or quality of support after sale. Right? It's not just for a product, it may be a service, or maybe softwares, and so on and so forth. So what is the quality of support that you provide? Uh, Psychological. Uh, how does it look like? How does it feel? The ambience, or is it prestigious? Let's say if you're buying your water bottle, is it aqua flask? Where does aqua flask came from in the first place, right? Or is the staff friendly if it's face to face, and so on and so forth. All right, so manufacturing quality is different from service quality. Manufacturing quality focuses on tangible products features, so it's physical. So it's conformance, performance, reliability, and its features. Versus service organizations produce intangible products that must be experienced. So quality often defined by perceptual factors like courtesy, friendliness, promptness, waiting time, and consistency. So manufacturing is all about a physical product that you're selling or you're providing, right? Versus the service is more on uh, the quality of service that you have provided. Let's say if you went into a restaurant where the staff friendly, versus the food that they served you, does it conform? So a restaurant could be both manufacturing and service at the same time, but they still provide two different or separate quality or level of quality. So discussing forward most about cost of quality. So quality affects all aspects of the organization. Quality has dramatic cost implications of uh, prevention costs and appraisal costs, which is quality control costs. Quality failure costs mean to say internal failure costs and external failure costs. So, so what does this all mean, right? So medyo more on if we have run through operations management, you always hear the SWOT analysis, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So normally, everything on top the of that cross, we call it a cross. In a standard practice in offices, a SWOT analysis looks like a box cross. So you have four boxes on two boxes on top, two boxes on the bottom. Normally, everything on top is the strengths and weaknesses, which are internal. Bottom is opportunities and threats, which normally are external. So with quality or TQM, you measure all, you check all, and you check what are the costs. Costs mean to say cost. Does it cost money or cost people, time, etc., etc. Cost does not always equate to always money. So it equates to a lot of factors, right? So the cost of quality has four categories. No, you have prevention costs. These costs are for all preparing and implementing a quality plan. You have appraisal costs, cost of testing and evaluating and inspecting quality. You have internal failure costs, which the cost of scrap, rework, and material losses. And external, which entails the cost of failure to at customer site, including returns, repairs, and recalls. So early detection and prevention, of course, is less costly. That is one of the major purposes of total quality management. The open close parenthesis here is maybe a factor of 10. So, kumbaga, in algebra, sabi nga mga factor of 10 na yan, it means to say, uh, a simple, minute error in an item could cost you tenfolds in business or even more. Because, for example, if external failure of cost is what are the one we're factoring in, when once a customer is dissatisfied, especially now in our age that social media is very prevalent, one rant of a customer could cost you millions or it could cost you your business. Remember the Jollibee fiasco when a customer ordered chicken joy and then it looks like chicken joy, but when the person opened or tried to eat the chicken, it was actually a rag that looks like chicken joy. It was breaded and fried. So that actually cost a very heavy toll on Jollibee for a few months. And they really received a real tidal wave of backlash, both in social media, image, and of course sales. Right? Hence the reason why it's very important that all these uh, cost of quality are factored in. So let's now go to the evolution of TQM and its new focuses. So early on, of course, TQM was all about inspection in the early 1900s. And then it evolved to statistical sampling in 1940s. And then in the 1960s, it's all about organizational quality focus. So these are the old concept of quality. Inspect for quality after production. In 1980s and beyond, it is always customer driven quality. So the new concept of quality is build quality into the process, identify and correct causes of quality problems. Some would still argue, no, there's a new age of quality. Like in my case, I am CMMI and ITIL trained, right? And that is the practice that we use for quality. And even for project management, we use COVID-19. They would say that's different from the customer driven quality, but actually, it is still encompassed by the new TQM direction, which is still customer driven quality. So, a brief snapshot of the quality gurus. Uh, some you may have heard, some you might be seeing just now. So we have Walter A. Schuhart, sorry, contributed to understanding of process variability and developed concept of statistical control charts. Deming, or W. Edwards Deming, stressed management's responsibility for quality. Developed 14 points to guide companies in quality improvement. Actually, W. Edwards Deming is widely renowned for this one. Joseph M. Juran defined quality as fitness for use and developed concept of cost of quality. So the one we have just previously discussed. Armand V. Pardon for the pronouncement. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Fagenbaum. So I think introduced concept of total quality control. Philip B. Crosby coined phrase quality is free. Introduced concept of zero defects. Kaoru Ishikawa, this is one of the well-renowned, developed cost and effect diagrams, identified concept of internal customer, and Genichi Taguchi focused on product design quality and developed Taguchi loss function. So what is the TQM philosophy? So it focused on the identifying quality problem root causes. So if you are familiar with the term RCA, or root cause analysis, this is it. So it's all about finding what is the cause of the problem and then improving it. Then encompasses the entire organization, and it also involves the technical as well as people. Especially now, it also involves software and relies on seven basic concepts, which are customer focus, continuous improvement, employee empowerment, use of quality tools, product design, process management, and managing supplier quality. So let's discuss further the concepts. So focus on customer, identify and meet customer needs. That's the first one that you need to do, of course. Stay tuned to changing needs. Yeah, for example, fashion styles, right? Uh, to dwell more on that, kasi yan ang main business frontline mo is your customer. So, mean to say, eh, traditional businesses kasi, or normal traditional businesses, especially not in the that is not engaged in so much of technology and social media, as mentioned by uh, Dr. Trinidad a while ago, right? That if you're not in social media, if your business is not in social media, then it's dead. That is correct. More on if you're in a business of selling anything or offering anything, then you need to stay tuned. For me to say, you need to be updated. You need to be relevant all the time. Your business needs to be relevant all the time. To give you an example, like in my case, I'm in the technology business. So it doesn't mean to say that, hey, I know how to uh, develop a program or a project or systems for anything, for private, for government, for inventory. Like in our case now, we developed the COVID-19 national vaccination information management system, right? 10 years ago, what we knew would not apply now. That's a definite because it's not every day that you will encounter a pandemic. But since we are always updated, or me and my company and my team, myself as well, is always updated with the new trends, new data analytics technology or approaches, uh, new software upgrades, updates, etc., etc., etc. We were able to create the vaccine information management system when we were tapped uh, way back in November of 2020 in just a few months. And that was the first system. It's a group of five systems. So the five systems that nobody is really aware of because all of you are only aware of the vaccine certificate portal, or which is the Vaxcert PH. That's our end, or not the fifth system. But it's a family of systems. It's a whole ecosystem. You first have the the ones that are used by the local government units when they're inputting data of all the people who were vaccinated or getting vaccinated. That's the first system. You call that the VAS line, or the VAS, or the Vaccine Administration System. And then you have the DICT Vaccine Administration System. These are for the mega sites. Mean to say, because not all LGUs are does have the capacity to vaccinate like Quezon City. We can here can vaccinate like 100,000 to 200,000 individuals in a day. So it needs an extraordinary system to capture all the data all at once. Then we have the mobile version or the offline version where we can have people go to the mountains without any signal and still register the vaccinees. And then, of course, we have the inventory system. Of course, it's not just about people, right? Uh, we need to have an inventory system all about the vaccine vials, the syringes, and the cases, the refrigerator, etc., etc. How many vaccines of Pfizer was used today, and how many was delivered yesterday? And then, of course, all of that, the end of it is the vaccine certificate portal or Vaxcert portal, because that's the end state of any data. You having your own certificate, health certificate, stating that you were vaccinated on a certain day, on a certain time, by a certain individual, by a with a certain vaccine, which is now accepted with more than 100 countries worldwide, including EUDCC or the European Union and uh, Southeast Asia. So there's a lot of stuff into it. But going back to this, circling back, if we were not updated with technology updates, then we are not relevant. It's as simple as that. Our skills, our business, our services are not relevant, or even your products in that case, if you have any, right? Even if you're just an employee, if you're looking at employment, not at the business part, still you're employed in a business or in an agency, which still provides something to clients. So if your agency, your business, or the company that you're working on or with is not keeping in tune or not aligning with the emerging trends, then your business is set up to fail. It's as simple as that. So all that entails continuous improvement. So that's one of the concepts. So as mentioned before, there are a lot of coinage by gurus, right? So continuous learning and problem solving. So Kaizen is one of it. Actually, Plan D Study Act is similar to Kaizen, and Six Sigma. I'm also a Six Sigma practitioner. Uh, so I am very uh, immersed with these learnings. But what does it all mean? It's just an append to your name? Not really. It's more on these concepts and practices are really heavily used right now to continuously improve the services, even the processes within your company or your organization. Kasi the concept is simple. If you have step 1 to 10, but after analyzing and learning everything and finding root causes, maybe your step 1 to 10 just needs steps 1, 5, and 10 because all the rest are waste steps. So that entails efficiency, product improvement, better quality of life for employees, of course, and of course lesser cost. So it's all about you building a stronger business management or strategic management, and of course benchmarking. Actually, benchmarking is a legal term for pangungopia. Little that everybody know, because it's not really wrong to benchmark successful practices especially in various industries like Toyota. Toyota implores just in time service concept. Mean to say they will produce everything and then they will just insert or if they need to put in the needed components just in time. They will not order too much in advance or late in the game. It's always just in time, and it's working for them. And other companies are also employing the same tactics, right? Uh, and so on and so forth. There's a lot to really benchmark all around. Hence the reason why there is a lot of TQM philosophies or TQM practices that are in place right now because it is a benchmark standard. Employees empowerment is very important. Empower all employees, external and internal. Um, uh, you call them external or internal customers. And then you have external customers, which are your actual clients and customers. So if you empower your employees, number one, it promotes efficiency, right? And how do you empower them? By continuously improving the processes inside. Uh, one of my businesses is doing management consulting. So I had this one client, which is a very big, what you call high end mall or high end shopping mall that owns a lot of real estate companies as well, right? So, sige, pwede ko naman banggitin because we are allowed to say. So it's Rustans. That's one of my clients. So what did we do with Rustans? They have 1,000 employees, and imagine their finance division has close to 100 employees. That's 10% of their total employee count. Does it sound good? No, of course not. Because imagine having 10% just to run your finance, right? And why did it become like that? Because their mindset before was very traditional. If let's say one person is getting overloaded with a task, the simple solution is uh, hire another person so they can share the workload, and then so on and so forth. That's why it grew to almost 100 people. But once we have restructured and re-engineered their processes, what happened was their almost 100 employees just became 23, and the rest of the people were not really fired out. We were able to measure their job fit to other divisions because they were more fitting with other divisions, right? And now their division, their finance division, is more efficient than ever, right? Working, their work hours are shorter now, and at the same time, uh, they're actually saving on cost plus saving inventory as well. So that is what you call employee empowerment. They have now a better way of life, work life. And then it's also the feedback mechanism. That's the reason why there's external customers here. The feedback mechanism is very important, right? Why? Because both internal and external customers will tell you or will give you the signal what's wrong or what you are doing right. All right, and you also have the team approach. That's one of the philosophies. I know most of you have been part of a team that, what they do or what you do is have a weekly meeting talking about what happened before and what's looking forward next, based on the general company direction. So even though you're not really abreast to TQM, but you are already actually practicing TQM by working together, uh, touching base with your teammates, and then looking past and then looking forward, and then what's at present. So what you do weekly is to analyze and solve the problems. That's how operations work. And then, of course, the use of quality tools. So it's always ongoing training on analysis, assessment, and correction, and implementation tools. And of course, that studying practices at best in class, quote unquote, companies. So that's what I was mentioning a while ago. It's more on benchmarking, looking at very successful companies and how they did it. Actually, our first case study that was given to us, the uh, by with this subject is, if you remember, is Cristo Rey. Cristo Rey, the school, right? I forgot the whole name. So still, they may not be the top tier among the top tier schools in the world, but still, what they were able to pull off could be said best in class or could be benchmark, right? So that's how it is. It's always about using your tools and continue studying. So there are a lot of ways of improving quality. So mentioned before, the plan, do, study, act cycle, or PDSA. This is the most commonly used uh, concept. Most nga, in my experience, doesn't even know that they are already using PDSA. Some are, because it is very, this is very easy to grasp, in the sense that you don't need to have a rocket scientist degree to understand it. Sir Deming, the one I mentioned, was the one who coined this. So he was the originator, and you call it the Deming wheel. So it's circular, never-ending problem-solving processes. So this is similar to Kaizen. And then, of course, we have the 7 tools of quality control. So tools typically taught to problem-solving teams. And then we have quality function deployment, used to translate customer preferences to design. So the PDSA starts with a plan. Everything starts with a plan. So you evaluate current processes, you collect procedures, data, and identify problems. You develop an improvement plan and performance plan objectives. So what's the difference between the last two bullets? Uh, the first bullet, collect procedures, data, identify problems, is at the start. The last bullet, develop an improvement plan and performance plan, is at the end, because it's a cycle. The do part is, of course, implement the plan. You do a trial, and then you do the full implement. Then you study. You collect data and evaluate against objectives. Mean to say, while you're implementing, there are real world scenarios that are coming out, and that's what you collect. That's what you study as well. So does your plan work? That's the basic question. Did our plan work? So that is what you collect, what was the output, and then you evaluate. And then you act. You communicate the results from trial, if you did the trial first, and then if successful, implement a new process if needed. Then actually just go back to the plan, especially if you're planning to implement a new process. Then you plan versus on what data you have collected from your trial, and then develop the improvement plan if needed, and then do it again. You implement it again, you do a trial basis again. It's never ending. You study and then you act, right? It looks like this actually. So the cycle is always repeating. So after act phase, you start planning again and then repeat the process. So you start with plan, then you implement, you study the output of your what you implemented, you act on it if it's good or not, whatever it resulted to, and then you plan again to further improve it, and then it goes on and on and on. The seven tools of quality control is first two are cause and effect and diagrams, or cause and effect diagrams, and then you have flow charts. Yeah, I know you have seen a lot of those, and some of you may have been creating those. I've created one. And then you have checklists and control charts, and then you have scatter diagrams or any other diagrams that you use where you are comfortable with. You have the Pareto analysis, and then you have the histograms. Some uses all, some may just use two or three, or just one. But what I said from the start of the presentation, quality depends on how you look at it. So how you want, which one you want to use is actually up to you. So this is what you call a fishbone diagram. So this is one of the cause and effect diagrams. So it looks like a fishbone. So in the middle is all about what are your quality problems, and on the sides are the components that affects that problem or the quality of your product. And then it's all focused on solving identified quality problems. Flow charts almost works the same. Usually have one end goal. So it's used to document the detailed steps in a process. So it's like a process flow, or in newer terms, you call that a swim lane. Then often the first step in process reengineering, of course. In the technology world, what we use is the service delivery framework, or that is based on ITIL. ITIL is what you call the Information Technology Information Library Standards. So it's looks similar to this, but however the difference is the service delivery framework is very immersed when it comes to technology. In this, why the process flow is very, as much as possible, automated, and it's not focused on people. Actually, that's the most common mistake of organizations when they create process flows. If they're not immersed with standards, when they create process flows, it is personality or identity based. Mean to say, let's say I create a process for a policy on requesting for procurement. So dun tayo sa purchase and finance division. So if an untrained person would create a process flow for that, they would look at who is currently at the purchasing side and who is currently at the end side, or the other side. So it's personality based. So when you're creating flow charts, it should be process based, not personality based. It doesn't matter if there's a person there or not. I think somebody raised their hand. I'm not seeing it, but I heard it.
Yes, I think Sam B, do you have any questions? Miss Lin, Sam Lin, you have a question?
All right, so let's just move forward. If the questions can be reserved later. Uh, So again, then again, recapping on this one, returning on this one. So process flows are and should be designed on process itself. That's the reason why on the second bullet it's saying often the first step in process reengineering, because when you're doing reengineering on anything, especially in process, you're looking at the process, not the people. So that is very important to remember. Checklist is very important, as simple as it is, but the simple checklist is very important when you're doing quality, right? A simple data check off sheet designed to identify type of quality problems at each workstation, per shift, per machine, per operator, right? For example, I recently kicked off a new project. I know everybody's familiar with land titles, right? So I recently acquired a new project from the Land Registration Authority. We are going to scan and encode like a million plus titles until December 31 of this year. So how does it relate to this? Very big. And why? Because I need to deploy almost 300 flatbed scanners and high-speed scanners and almost 300 computers to my almost 300 personnel nationwide via courier. And the checklist is very important because that will entail the quality of the shipment that they will receive. As simple as, does my team prepared uh, number one, the shipping box, the installation. All the cables are inside. All the installation drivers is it there, or are all the laptops already reconfigured to the client specification, and so on and so forth. And that is what you call a checklist. And it is very important for quality, even for inventory, right? You would easily forecast that you're losing in this case. Uh, what they did here is they made a checklist on the defects. So on your inventory, how many broken zippers did you have? Rip material. And then if you expound this more, you would check on who were your suppliers, right? So how many broken zippers did I receive from supplier A versus supplier B? Because if I'm receiving a lot of defects from A, I will just order more from B. As simple as that, right? And so on and so forth. Control charts are very important, right? It's more. This is more on data gathering and statistics. So it helps you analyze the data that you have. So UCL is termed as the upper control limit, and then LCL is the lower control limit. So normally, when you do your line graph, it will show on top what is your peak, and on the bottom what is your lowest, and so on and so forth. So it has many forms, right? Your scatter diagrams, or plain and simple, your diagrams. Doesn't mean to have to become a scatter. Your diagrams are very important in analyzing data, because this will show you what are the areas that you need to improve, and that from that data, you will be able to create process improvement plan. So you go back to your plan, do a study, and then act, your PSDA. The Pareto analysis. Uh, this is a very old uh, practice, but it is still effective to this day, because it is true that 80% of the problems are only caused by the 20%. That's why the coinage of the root cause analysis. Because if once you find that root cause, you will be able to solve the rest of the 80%. And as simple as that. And how do you do that? Use your data, right? Input it correctly, and then analyze it, look at it, and then create a plan. Histograms are also used by some industries, and This chart shows the frequency and distribution of observed values for a variable like service time, like a service time. And that's an example. A time at the bank, drive up window. So more on, you can use this for time in motion, right? How many people came in and how long did they spend doing this, doing that? For example, the project that I kicked off, the current provider, service provider for land registration authority, which is a business partner as well, a company business partner, uh, currently scanning and encoding a title for around 8.5 minutes. In our case, we will not accept. We will just not take it as it is. Our 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 work now is to analyze on how to further improve that process and bring it down to at least 6 minutes, so we can hit the target of 1 million titles by the end of December, and we can use the histogram for this if needed, right? All right, so product design. So it's quality function deployment. So it's critical to ensure product design meets the customer expectations. So in our case, I'm more on service. So service design is very important to me. That that it will meet our clients' expectations. For example, in the COVID-19 pandemic, my service delivery plan that I created, or the service delivery framework, is very important, that it is acceptable to my client, which are the DICT and DOH, and it meets the standards that they have set, or not even the standards, the requirements that they have or expectations. So it's designed according to that, and it encompasses both internal and the external factors. Uh, this is a useful tool for translating customer specifications into technical requirements, and is quality and it's called quality function deployment. And QFD encompasses customer requirements, competitive evaluation, product characteristics, relationship matrix, trade-off matrix, and setting targets. So, yan ang importance ng product design or service design if you have it. So, this is an example of a QFD. It's very technical actually, pero most of you, if you look closely, most of you have used or seen this or in part in your day-to-day life, right? This is what you call as a simple rating chart. Um, I don't know if you have I know you have experience when you're eating in a diner or a restaurant. They will hand you out like a survey form, and if you carve this out, you might see parts of it looking similar, like on the right or in the middle or in the left. But what's clear is something needs to be rated, either the product or the service, right? So normally you look at the voice of the customer, and also uh, checking on the customer base benchmarks. I mean to say, checking on your competitor as well, and the voice of the engineer. Why is there an engineer? Usually the engineers are the designers. Yeah, it doesn't mean to say that you are actually an engineer, but everybody can be an engineer by designing uh, the quality of your product or your service by listening to the voices of your internal and external customers and even your competitors. Right, this is another example of it. We call this the house of quality. Uh, Nowadays, this is not much used. Uh, what is used now is more on the fractions of it because it's easier to understand. So it's the same thing. You're looking at the technical benchmarks of your competitors, your targets, and then your trade-offs. Because let's say it's always like that. When you're trying to reduce something, you have to let go of something. If you're trying to increase something, you're reducing something else from another component. So what are the trade-offs of that? All right, let's now go to reliability. This is very critical to quality. Reliability is the probability that a product, service, or part will function as expected, right? No product is always 100% that will function properly. Like for example, in the systems that we provided the national government, it's not every day that it's like a holiday. That's hence the reason why I have a very strong product support team, because there will be bugs, there will be enhancements, there will be fixes. And not just that, even the users are sometimes the ones that are not reliable because they couldn't understand, or the very procedure or the procedural part. They don't know how to work your product or use your product, right? And all often than not, reliability is always dependent on its subcomponents or subparts, right? Kasi nobody is an island. Sabi nga, no man is an island. So uh, it always depends on something else. Hence the reason why something failed, right? And reliability of a system is the product of component reliability. So it's again, it's important that every working piece is reliable, or you have some measure how to rate the reliability of a certain component when it will break down, and how you would replace it, how fast you would replace it or fix it. Hence the reason why you need to place your components in parallel to ensure that when the other one is already failing, you would already see it, but the whole component is still working. I mean to say the whole system or the whole product is still working. If that is what you're selling. So it's like a disaster recovery uh, plan, right? Or business continuity, especially in an organization. All right, so process management and managing supplier quality. So quality products come from quality sources. Quality must be built into the process, of course, and at the source is belief that it is better to uncover source of quality problems and correct it from the source. That's why it's very important that you do RCA. You don't do patch up solutions or workarounds. That hey, the paint is chipping off. Let's just recall the product and then just repaint it. But they're not actually looking at the cause. Why did it chip off in the first place, right? So TQM extends to the quality of products from companies, suppliers, foremost as well. That's what I was mentioning. Let's say you're receiving a lot of defective zippers from supplier A, then don't order from supplier A anymore. Order from other suppliers that has lesser defects. So these are the quality awards and standards currently, some of it, not all, that are currently notable in this era. So we have the capability maturity model integration, CMMI. So that's for software development. So that's where I'm trained at. The Deming Prize is one of the awards, or one of the notable awards. Currently now, ISO 9000 and 9001 for quality management standards. ISO 14,000 and 14,001. This is for environmental management standards. Actually, there are a lot of ISO standards. There's some for food, risk management, etc., etc. You also have for auditing. You have International Auditing and Assurance Standards Board, so IAASB. For ISO, they also have a standard for that. That's 19,011. And then for risk management, there you have 31,011. ITIL, which I mentioned before, currently it's already at version 4. It's, you call that IT Information Library. So especially now, a lot of you would think this is all jargon to you. You don't need this. You're not using this. Actually, little that you know it, you are already in this. Because most of the standards here that are being employed are some most of them has already trickled down to organizations. So it doesn't mean to say that your company is not certified. It doesn't mean to say that you're not using it, because bits and pieces of it has already trickled down to everywhere. Like now, ITIL is currently in use now while we speak here, because we are in an online class, and uh, the provider of this link, which is Google Meet, implores the ITIL Foundation and standards, including the CMMI. Why? Because first of all, they need to ensure that our session is uninterrupted and the quality is of a high standard. The data is protected, etc., etc., etc. Right? The backgrounder of the Deming Prize, it was given by the Union of Japanese Scientists and Engineers since 1951, named after, of course, W. Edwards Deming, who worked to improve Japanese quality after World War II. And before, it was not open to foreign companies until 1984. Florida P&L was the first U.S. company winner. So something nice to know. Don't know if you will be able to use it, but it's something nice to know. ISO standards, hence the reason why I put it here, is because this is the most commonly known and used standards in the world right now. So the 9000 for the ISO 9000 and 9001 is all about quality management. It's all about quality management standards. So it is developed by the International Organization Standards, and the purpose of it is that especially for the big companies or even the little ones, the standards will be internationally recognized. So once you use these standards, even if you go to under other companies or other countries that employs the same standards, you won't be lost. It's practically of the same nature. So it practically guides you on how to better perform with a certain set of standards. When this slide was created before, around more than 40,000 companies have been certified. Now I think it's more than 20,000, if I'm not mistaken. So it's somewhere around that ballpark figure. And of course, what I mentioned, environmental standards are 14,000 and 14,001. So it's all about environmental responsibility. So of course, there's always a question: why does it fail? Why does TQM efforts fail? The first is always the lack of a genuine quality culture. Uh, this I have a lot of experience and exposure with, because one of my business is to uh, do ISO preparations for companies. So we re-engineer them and restructure them to become ISO standard or standard ready, so they can get certified. The problem is a lot of companies that employed me in my company, they just want to get certified on paper, but they're not genuinely really up to really follow what's in there. And of course, the lack of top management support and commitment. So it's like, yeah, I'll pay you, just do it. But they're not really heart and soul into it. And of course, the over and under reliance on SPC methods or the standards methods. So it's either they're over reliant to it, so ano nangyayari, they're super by the book, there's no more room for leverage, or they don't rely on it at all. So what is TQM within operations management? So it's a broad sweeping organizational change. It impacts everything from marketing, finance, accounting, engineering, purchasing, human resources, information systems, and so on and so forth. Sales and the likes. So yun nga, that's the reason why I asked you a while ago. Have you practiced TQM or have you have a part in TQM? The answer is actually yes. You just don't know it, but you are part of it. So the highlights of what I have just discussed, of course, is what are the difference from the old and new concepts, and how to identify the causes of quality problems and building quality into the production process, and of course the four quality of categories of quality, and the 70 QM, and the notable people of quality management, right? The features of it, and of course QFD, reliability. The Malcolm Baldrige Award, hindi ko na masyadong mention because it's not really applicable to us. It's more all about the US. And I would like to say thank you. So if you have any other questions or clarifications, please feel free to raise your hand right now and ask.
Thank you for that comprehensive report, Mr. Arsenio. So let us give the floor for the next
Thank
few
you.
minutes regarding questions about Q&A or Q&A about TQM. Anyone? Anyone else? Anyone? By the way, I would like to also remind the previous reporters if you can also post your PowerPoint and or materials to our group chat and TLC. And I would like to also take this opportunity to our group chat moderator if we can include our foreign classmates, namely Kylie Zhang, Hai Ji San, and Zhang Lin. So, who's the moderator of our group chat so we can have this information? Any questions? Guru, let's take one or two questions before we proceed. Maybe we can call Miss Marella, Janelle. Can you either you can ask question or your insight regarding PQM, your reflection, and then the next person would be Miss Donna Jane Sebastian. Okay, either you can ask questions to Mr. Arsenio or you can give some thoughts about PQM. Okay, go ahead, Miss Marilla Jola, and next followed by Miss Donna Jane Sebastian. Wala sila Miss Marilla, Janelle, and Miss Donna Jane. Are you there? Am I everywhere or hello? Yeah, I think Miss Marilla is getting ready on her mic. Marilla, can you hear us? Okay, do you have any questions or insights with regards to PQA? Go ahead. Yes, Miss Varela, I'm calling your attention if you have any questions or insights about TQM. It's not the question if you can hear us. Go ahead. I think, okay, siguro before we proceed to the next reporter, I would like to take this opportunity to give you a short readings to complement the DQM paper which was presented by Mr. Asilio. Thank you, sir, for having that report. We are also privileged that Mr. Asilio is also Six Sigma. So any part of the program, you can ask questions regarding these topics. Now, I would like to give some instructions with regards to our assignment for next week. So let me just have this enlarged. Now for today, October 15, we had some reporter. We are expecting Mr. Arsenio and then another one. The one that is being recorded, we can watch it in our separate time. So we give the floor to our third reporter. Now, we also discussed the research capsule and this one, the reading, very, very short, 3 pages. And I am excited because this article entitled Creating a Culture of Quality. We have a version both in Chinese and English. So I would like to ask our Chinese students, can you understand uh, this literature? Can you take a look? Can you take a look and can anyone from our Chinese students verify if you can understand what's written in this article so you can actually read and participate with regards to this assignment? Okay, Haji-san, perfect. So I specifically chose this article because it has both English and Chinese. Okay. Now, very, very exciting this article because what I want from you, this is actually an individual assignment. Okay. Again, this is a 3 page article. It talks about evaluating if your culture in the company or organization has a culture of quality. Now, according to this article, there are 4 elements that we need to see and observe. So the 4 things to know, to measure that there's a quality or culture of quality are the number 1, leadership emphasis. So if you read the article, you will get to understand what it means. Second, is the message clearly uh, credible from your department or organization? For sure, every single one of you belong to a department support group. So what I'm gonna assign is you just focus on the company or the direct unit that you are involved in. Okay? If you're involved in finance or involved in accounting or you're involved with bookstore, just that particular area. And then, as an MBA candidate, what I want you to do is to read the article, and then with regards to TQM, because one article or one item that Mr. Asenio pointed out is empowering employment or employee. So these are the things that we look at closer. Number 3 element is the peer involvement. Very critical. your involvement. Because if you are not involved in the company that you're involved or in your part, then that's an indicator that there's no culture quality in that particular department or support group. And lastly, employee ownership. So this is more on reflection. And I wanted to finish or conclude your paper by identifying or indicating how would you rate the culture of your unit. Now, to serve as basis, this will be deadline on October 29, individual, times Roman, fund 12, maximum of 3 pages, not more than that, 1.5 spacing. And please, again, email me, email your work at PUA, but PH, may PUA email. Okay? So that will be the instruction that I would like to give before we end our class or give the next platform to our reporter. So any questions before we give the floor? So this will be to the Chinese students. Can you email me? Can you text me your email? Here, can you type in the chat box your email address so I can send it right now? So it's only 3 pages. Okay. Okay, Mr. Haji-san, and can type your email address right now. So to make it sure that you receive all the materials that was discussed earlier and all information. Okay, good. So next, I have two more. May I call Miss Zhang? Miss Zhang, can you kindly type your email address? Okay, thank you. And then, of course, the last one, Jiang Lin. Jiang Lin, can you text or type your email address? Okay, thank you. I got those email address. Now, since that's already been placed, our next reporter, who's the next reporter? Who's the next reporter? Miss Amy. Amy, are you there? Miss
Yes,
Amy.
hello. No.
How many minutes will you take to finish your? I think we still have we have 15 minutes, but is this too short?
I think that's enough, though.
Okay,
I
sige.
just have 23 slides for this.
Okay, so let's give the floor to Miss Amy Flores, and then we end exactly 3 o'clock. And then for the second reporter, since it's recorded, I will give the link. And yes, the assignment is reading the article, this one. And then after reading the article, I want you to evaluate your company. This is the instruction. I want you to evaluate your company using these 4 parameters in terms of leadership emphasis, message, credibility, involvement, and employee ownership. So it's important to first read the article and then reflect it, use it, use it to your own company or your own department where you're working. If you are an entrepreneur, try to look at it in the perspective of your company, from your company. Okay? And according to Architect Marge, to our classmates, at your Chinese classmates, we have a group messenger. So please type your messenger account so we can include you. So you will know exactly where we are and be updated in terms of our requirements and materials. Can you send this charter to us? Yes, since I have your email address, I will try to send all the articles and the files. Okay? I just want to ask architect of Zoom if she can take note on the three emails, so we can make sure that if they don't have the messenger account, at least we can reach them out through their email address. Okay. Okay, so let's give the floor to Miss Amy. Amy, you have the cloud, and don't feel pressured. Just take the most out of it. And then, Sir Arsenio, kindly provide your PowerPoint presentation to our group so we can use as our future reference as well. Okay, Miss Amy, you have the floor.
Yes, sir.
Miss Amy, yeah, we can see your presentation.
Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Doc. Good afternoon, classmate. I'm about to report the process design and process and capability design. So, before we let's define first the process design. So, a process design is a macroscopic decision making and overall process road for converting the raw materials into finished goods. This decision encompasses the selection of process choice of technology, process flow analysis, and layout of the facilities. So the importance of decision in process designs are to analyze the workflow for converting the raw materials into finished product and to select the workstation for each included in the workflow. So as certain here. So workflow is consists for the orchestrated of repeatable pattern of business activity enabled by the systematic organization of resource into process that transform materials, provide service or process improvisations. There are a sequence of operations in manufacturing process are defined by the nature of the product, the material used, and the quantities being produced and the existing physical layout of the plant. So at the product concept stage, manufacturing propose, investigate, process, and concept. When the product concept has been finalized and the role of process management has been developed, cost estimate, define process, and architecture processes stimulates and validated the supply. So for the analytic work or process planning can be divided into classes. So one is the process analysis, which is governed by the main process decision, the capital, labor intensity, outsourcing, resource flexibility, and volume. So this four decision area represents board strategic issues that have to be decided prior to finalizing the process design. It came out first with the recommendation for primary workstation, and the secondary is the accessory or the equipment you're going to require for the most effective and efficient productions of product and workflow. It is concerned with the overall set of operation constituting for the process. And once the process analysis decision are taken by the management as determined exactly how each process will be performed, and this is called by process analysis, which is concerned with the work content constituting the operations and method of performing the work given the resource allocated to the process. So there are four types of strategies that they use. Um, the product focus strategy, process focus, and repeatedly focus, and lastly, the mass customization. So product focus facilitates or organized by product, which is high volume, low variety products. Other name terms for this is line flow production or continuous production. The advantages of this is lower variable cost per unit, lower but more specialized labor skills, easier production planning and control, and higher equipment utilization, 70% and 80%. The disadvantage is the lower product flexibility, more special equipment, and higher capital investments. The next one is the process focus, which is facilities organized by process. This one is for low volume to high variety products. Products follow a different path, and other names for this is in the intermediate process or the job shops. The advantage for this is great product flexibility, more general equipment, lower initial capital investment, but the disadvantage is highly variable cost per unit, more highly trained personnel, and more difficult production planning and control, which is the low equipment utilization is about 5 to 25%. The third one is the repetitive focus. So facilities often organized by assembly lines, so characterized by modules. Parts of assembly may be previously or modules can be combined for many output options. Other name for this is assembly line or production line. So the repeatedly focused consideration are more structured than process focus and less structured than a product focus. And that enables a quasi customization and has advantage and disadvantage for process focus and product focus. For the customization, this one is a rapid low cost production to fulfill unique customer desire. Distinct between process repeatedly and product focus making. Variety and volume issue less is significant and it's very hard to achieve. Let's say for the example at the Dell company, computer company, no, they sell a custom built PC directly to the customer. So they build the computer rapidly at low cost and often when ordered, integrates the web into every aspect of the business and operates within 6 days of inventory. So the research focused on the software to make an installation and the configuration of the pass of PC fast and simple. So they may need many parts of the component units like the chip, hardware to for them to be able to produce it. Also, they need modules and the output of the PC as well. So with regards to the process of it, as you can see in this chart, so if you have a high priority one or for few units per run, then you may process focus process focus strategy, which is um produce a low volume since. And then change in modules runs modest run standardized modules. It's a repeatedly since you already have it like build um um, building motorcycles or assembling it. And then for the high customization, that's like I said, is for the Dell computer software and how they produce it with a difficult to achieve but huge rewards. But if you both have both fixed and variable costs are high, then you technically have a poor strategy for this. Um, So a business process is how your works get done. The process that are stable, repeatable, and produce consistent results allow managers to create gauge and how to change the business system and will affect an outcome. So the process design also plays a large role in how well the process meets business needs. Three categories for the process designs can be used for differentiate the types of process designs, like analytic or attribute centered design, procedure and operational centered design, experimental object or search centered design. So for the analytic or attribute centered designs, attribute of the objects required for the designs are primarily point to considered when all attributes desired are met and objectives of these designs type are considered complete. An example this if a new process has set of criteria and the available resource have a set of constraints, when the completed design meets both the criteria and the constraint, and then the design is considered adequate. For the second one, for the procedural and operational center design, um, this design type focus on changing a specific object or process to have the desired set of traits or attributes. Review of what the process is currently capable of and what changes need to be made to accommodate the new criteria in the primary focus. So the process changes typically fall with this design type as they focus on existing and implementing a process which can be altered to accommodate new requirements, though the design of this process or the system may be an outcome of designing a process as the old process may be determined to be inadequate. So for the last one is the experimental object or search center design. So this one is experimental object design focus on testing specific objects to determine sustainability. This type of design heavily focus on the this type of design heavily focus on experimenting and outcomes. So the list of possibility using design is may you know which has the best attributes to meet the design needs. If you have the list of possibility that you may captured upfront and each possibilities were as being reviewed and tested and prototyped to determine what is the best uh, design for it. So the design of transformation process requires answer to several questions given given here. So for the framework for process designs, first, what are the characteristics of the product and service being supplied or offered to the customer? What is the expected volume of output? What kind of equipment or machinery is custom built? What is the cost of equipment and machinery needed? And what type of labor skills are available in what quantities and at what range? How much money can be spent on manufacturing process? Should the process be capital and intensive or labor intensive? Should the components or parts be made of purchase, link, or a buy decision on how the best to handle the materials for this? So the relationship between process planning and other products operations management activity is basically for the design, let's say the design of the building layout of facilities and the selection of production equipment and machineries. It's also affect the quality control, human resource requirements, job designs, and the capacity of the plant. Process design determines the details of how product service will be produced. So process planning and process design describe the specific steps or procedures leakages among the leakages among the activities and which enable the production system to produce product service of the desired quality in required quantity at the tone customer and what they want at the budgeted cost. So if you are planning to have um if you're planning to re-engine your process, it may may occurs as a capacity needs needs to be changed, business or market condition, change and technologies, improvements and take place in materials and machinery. So you will have to think about it. That one called is process engineering. So you have to fundamentally rethink the radical redesign of your business to bring about the dramatic improvements in performance. It also relates with reevaluating the purpose of the process and questioning both the process and underlying assumptions. It requires re-examination of basic process and its object, and then focus on activity that cross boundaries. There are factors also affecting in process designs. These basic factors that affect the design of manufacturing process are the nature of the product service demand, degree of automation, degree of vertical integration, level of product and service quality, product service and volume flexibility, degree of customer contact, and the equipment that is available or that can be procured for the manufacturing of the product. So let's go on to the definition and measurement of the capacity. So the capacity is the maximum output of the system in a given period. The design capacity is the maximum capacity that can be achieved under ideal condition. And then effective capacity, this is the expected capacity given the current operating environment and constraint will be viewed as a percentage of design capacity. So in order to know how to utilize your capacity, the utilization and efficiency, the utilization is the percent of the design capacity to be achieved. The formula for this is the utilization equals actual output divided by design capacity. So let's have an example below that let's say the design capacity for your plant is 120 per day. And then the effective capacity, which around 100 a day. And the actual output capacity is 80 per day. So in order to get how the percent of design capacity achieved, you utilization equals the actual output, which is the 80, and divide by the design capacity, which is 120 a day, which average 67% of the design capacity achieved. And to know the efficiency and the percent of effective capacity achieved, you may solve this, and efficiency equals the actual output, uh, 80, and then the effective capacity, which is 100. So you divide for it, and then you get 80% of the effective capacity to achieve. So if you have an anticipated output to your capacity, then you you may use this formula. Example, let's the design capacity for the unit you have, it's 150 units per day, and then the effective capacity is around 80% and the efficiency is 90%. So anticipated outputs 150 times 80% of the effective capacity times the 90% of efficiency is equals 108 per day. So the efficiency will still at 90 and the utilization is 180 per day, divide the design capacity, which is 150 units per day, which achieve for 72% of effective capacity, 72% of the design capacity achieved. Next one is the managing an existing capacity. So to make capacity match or demand, either you adjust to it, adjust the demand equals to the demand management, and that adjust the capacity for capacity management. There are things that we could consider for the demand management, also for the capacity management. So the demand capacity varies for price, promotion, back order, and offering complementary products. Capacity management vary in staffing, change equipment and process, change methods, redesigning the product service for faster processing. Next one is the capacity expansion option, which is um, capacity leads demand. So if you plan to add new capacity in advance for increasing demand. So advantages of this is you can capture the market and discourage the competition. Well, the disadvantage is expensive and risky. Demand may not materialize, and the size of the need expansion relies on the forecast. So for the number one, for the small expansion, this one is the capacity leads demand and incremental expansion. For the capacity for the large expansion, which is capacity leads demand in a one-step expansion. Capacity expansion outputs, sorry, capacity expansion options equals capacity logs demand. If you're planning to add new capacity after demand materializes, the advantage of this is the lower cost, less risk, and size of expansion. The disadvantage may be too late to the market. So, as shown in the small expansion would lead for the lugs demands with still an incremental expansion. So for the break-even analysis process is to evaluate the process and equipment alternatives. So the objective for this is to find the point at which total cost equals the total revenue, or find the range of the output over which different alternatives are preferred. For assumptions, let's say revenue and cost are relatively linearly to the volume. All information is known with certainty and no time value of the money. So for the break-even cost analysis, the fixed cost is the cost independent of the volume of unit produced, which includes depreciation, tax, debt, mortgage payments. And then the variable cost that varies with the volume of units produced, which is labor, materials, a portion of utilities, and and the others. So break even equation, F equals to fixed cost per unit time, variable cost per unit produced per D. X is number of unit produced per unit time. So I have here an example on how the break even example um, to compute. So if let's say if a firm produces radios with a fixed cost of 70,000 per month and the variable cost of 5 pesos per radio, if the radio sale is for each 8 pesos. So what is the break-even point? So that break-even point computes in total. So at the break-even point, it computes a total revenue equals total cost. So an 80 pesos each equals 7,000 per month times 5,000, sorry, 5 pesos per radio equals the the eight pesos minus the 5 peso, which is how you get the three. So 7,000 divided by G is equal to 2,339.33 radios per month. So that is your um, break-even point for this. That's it, sir. Thank you, everyone, for listening to me.
Okay, so thank you guys. Sorry we had an overtime at 11 minutes. Okay, to make sure that we're on the same page, Next week, we're not going to meet. We have an asynchronous. Use this time for your individual work, or if you want to meet some of your classmates to start your concept paper. And then we are going to meet next week, next week. So let me just, okay. So here's the game plan for this coming week. Okay, let me just enlarge this. So next week we're going to do asynchronous. There is no plan. This will be moved, obviously. For the reporters on October 29, we have three. Miss Lovely and Winder talks about site selection and people and work system. Architect on Zoom, layout design, and Sarah will be discussing inventory for dependent and independent demand. For the report of Joanne Blanco, which was supposed to be today, it's already recorded, so I will send the link so you can watch her presentation on your available time and convenient time. Now, again, I would like to emphasize, read the first article of San Beda University. That is your format and familiarization of your concept paper. Second, please make sure that the individual work, which is the culture of quality, be read. This is individual. This will be submitted on October 22 via email. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate, especially to our Chinese students. Please do not hesitate to email me at this email address. Okay. So if you have any questions or inquiries, we are going to do the same. We are going to use the same link as well. Okay. Now let's open our camera for attendance checking. This would be very quick. If you can open your camera, napamaganda yung color ni Ma'am March, color blue. Okay. Sige. Just open. Okay. As this lovely hold on. Thank you for our reporters, Mr. Asinio and Miss Amy Flores. Okay.
You can
So
call me
everybody,
Archie na lang, sir. Archie. Nababother
Archie.
pakinggan yung Arsenio.
Okay. You change your name here, so it will be what you would prefer. Uh, okay, so let's open our camera. Okay, I think Miss Lovely is already ready. Okay, wait. Join. Okay, so the count of three. One, two, three. Smile. Perfect. So I'll see you 2 weeks from now. Be safe. God bless, and enjoy your weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Everyone, take
Thank
it off.
you.
Bye,
Thank you,
Archie.
Doc. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.